Are the San Francisco 49ers going to make some significant roster moves with OTAs in session currently and mandatory minicamp quickly approaching? That's what we're talking about on today's San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. As always, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out here with us. Before we dive into all of that, because this is really a great look at this entire Niners roster, some of the big positional competitions and the overall outlook for this team, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're having a great sub battle this month. And over the last month, you look at the calculations here. The 49ers Report has picked up 1,006 new subscribers. Thank you to all of the real ones who have hit that sub button. And we have now overtaken Seattle Seahawks today for the most subs picked up over the last month. But I'm not content with this. Just like the Niners have dump trucked the Seahawks over the last couple of years, we want to continue to do that because I want the bragging rights inside the walls of the Chat Sports offices. Let's continue to dominate here. And as you can see here with these figures to my right, we're 100 people away from 133,000 subscribers. Thank you in advance for supporting the show. So what we're going to do here on today's 49ers Report, look at the position groups, the positional competitions, the position battles on this Niners roster right now, analyze those competitions and some of the lineup adjustments that could take place and have already taken place in OTAs. Now, keep in mind that these organized team activities are voluntary workouts, not mandatory workouts, so that does play into the fact that some players are getting some more run and some more snaps as compared to others. We begin with the quarterback position. Of course, it's going to be chalk here, but could there be a little bit of a competition for who is going to back up Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy's going to be QB1 with how he's played the last year and a half as this team's starting quarterback. He's quickly ascending into potentially a top 10 quarterback in this league. And last year, he was a top 10 quarterback in this league. You just have to do it for more than a season and a half, in my eyes, to firmly be entrenched in that category as one of the league's elite players at that position. But Josh Dobbs, Brandon Allen, certainly an interesting competition here to see who is going to be QB2 with Tanner Mordecai, quarterback 4 right now. Josh Dobbs, according to friend of the show, Grant Cohn, who does a great job on his YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to everything that he's doing, was 8 of 11 during Tuesday's OTA session. To me, it says that Josh Dobbs, the aerospace engineer that he is, able to quickly pick up the playbook. And that's what he was able to do with Arizona last year when he replaced Kyler Murray. And then on short notice, did the same with the Minnesota Vikings where he got traded. Then a couple of days later, he's inserted into the game and he ends up slinging the rock, making some plays with his legs, and led a tremendous victory for Minnesota. But yesterday, I saw Larry Krueger put out a video. At times, Brandon Allen was getting snaps before him. That could have to do with the fact that Brandon Allen was with this team last year, Josh Dobbs was not. And then you shift gears to the running back position. Christian McCaffrey, 2,000 all-purpose yards last year, as I predicted, by the way, in the lead up to last year. I also predicted that McCaffrey was going to finish top 5 in MVP voting. He did that. He is your RB1. But who will be RB2? Isaac Guerendo is 220 pounds. He runs a 4.3 40-yard dash. Sometimes he runs a little bit uptight. He only started one game in his college career. So is that going to lead to Elijah Mitchell, who's been successful when on the field and healthy, being the backup running back? Kyle Juszczyk, of course, the fullback. And then outside of that, you have Patrick Taylor, Cody Schrader, and Jordan Mason, who made a couple of good catches during practice at OTAs yesterday on Tuesday. But with no Christian McCaffrey at OTAs, it opens up some opportunities for these other players. And no Christian McCaffrey at OTAs, I think is very interesting. Last year, everybody was raving about the fact that he was at OTAs, and he partook in basically every single practice that the Niners had held, whether it be mandatory or voluntary. And everybody was raving about how a player of that ilk, how a premier player practiced at 110 miles per hour like McCaffrey was doing. Of course, the body might still be feeling it because he led the NFL in touches last year and had more than 2,000 all-purpose yards, led the NFL in rushing. But is there something to this? Is he looking for a restructured deal? More guaranteed money? Is he looking for a new deal entirely? That could be a story that we end up talking about here on the show. To the 49ers wide receiver depth chart. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, your top three. You add Ricky Pearsall to that. I think it's one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in the NFL. But the first public practice of OTAs, who did we not see? Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings. Who was there? Deebo Samuel, who usually does not partake in the OTA sessions. He looked slimmed down in that new number 1 with Samuel Sr. on the nameplate of his jersey because his son is Deebo Samuel Jr. And credit to Deebo Samuel for showing up. Credit to Deebo Samuel for looking to be in great shape. Moving well. He's out to prove himself. After the last couple of years, he's been somewhat disappointing. Without Ayuk, without Jennings, this is great news for Ricky Pearsall. The more snaps that he can get, the more reps that he can receive, the more that he can catch balls from Brock Purdy, the more he might be able to earn some significant snaps in 2024. So without Ayuk, without Jennings, opportunities plentiful for Ricky Pearsall. Could he end up working his way into a sizable role for this offense in 2024? Could he even replace Juwan Jennings out of the slot? Because Ricky Pearsall might be a better slot wide receiver than Juwan Jennings. It's not a slight on Jennings. It's more of a credit to Pearsall and him being strong from that slot spot. The tight end competition behind George Kittle, certainly an interesting one. Cam Latu, still not practicing. Eric Saubert, just not a great pass catcher. We're not sure if he's a good run blocker because the physicality of these OTA sessions just not there. George Kittle, Cam Latu did not practice on Tuesday. So there's a competition also between Braden Willis, but Mason Pline, the UDFA and former basketball player. Yet Grant Cohn saying he thinks Braden Willis is the second best tight end. Larry Krueger saying Mason Pline might be tight end too. Who will seize that backup role behind George Kittle? And then the offensive line. My favorite position group to talk about on this football team because there are so many question marks here. The Niners ended the year last year with Trent Williams at left tackle, Aaron Banks at left guard, Jake Brendel at center, John Feliciano at right guard, and Colton McKivitz at right tackle. But there are developments worth watching along the offensive line. Kyle Shanahan saying yesterday, Jake Brendel has knee tendonitis. At first, he said knee arthritis. He misspoke. It's knee tendonitis. Arthritis will not be good for a player in his 30s. So what happened? He didn't practice. He's not going to partake in any of these OTA practices. So, something that I've talked about here on the show is the potential possibility of John Feliciano playing center. John Feliciano was the starting center yesterday. Spencer Burford was at right guard and Colton McKivitz at right tackle. Nick Zakelj and Drake Nugent were the two backup centers behind John Feliciano and Dominic Pooney, the backup right guard. Does Dominic Pooney have an opportunity to seize the right guard spot? And could John Feliciano, who was the starting center for the New York Giants in 2022 and has a lot of experience at that position, unseat Jake Brendel at center, which in my opinion makes this offensive line better? And last week we talked about this offensive line competition. I was out on my balcony on Friday morning, sipping some coffee, listening to the birds chirp. My guy Marco Martinez saw that I put together 10 offensive line competitions, and he's like, he was sipping on that gin and juice. Nah, just some coffee, but the creative juices were flowing. And among those 10 competitions, I talked about O-line combination number 3, and the competition here is going to be fascinating. This combination would be fascinating. Where Trent Williams is at left tackle, Aaron Banks at left guard, John Feliciano at center, Dominic Pooney at right guard, and Colton McKivitz at right tackle. I think this offensive line is better than the one that you ended the season with. There's another alteration to this competition and combination that you can make. It's the same 4 from left to right, but you replace Colton McKivitz with Chris Hubbard, who started a lot of games at the National Football League level. So as you look forward to mandatory minicamp and training camp, think about this offensive line, some of the changes that could be made that could be somewhat significant for San Francisco. With that, let's ask you this. What is your favorite offensive line combination, from left to right, your favorite grouping of players along that offensive line for the Niners? I want you to let me know down in the comment section right now and embrace debate because a lot of people are going to be debating that subject matter down below in the comment section. Do want to welcome once again a brand new sponsor here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. It is Chubbies. You can get 20% off your purchase at chubbyshorts.com/chat. Here, I'm wearing their swimsuit, and then on this next photo, I'm wearing a Chubbies shirt with some shorts, taking a look at the skyline. Then I'm sitting on my rooftop, having a drink, having a cigar. You want to do the same? You can do that with Chubbies. Skies out, thighs out. Summer is right around the corner. Our friends at Chubbies are bringing the good vibrations. Chubbies is a lifestyle apparel brand that makes every moment feel like a vacation. They say fashion is an expression of one's character, so why not let the world know you're down for a good time? Chubbies offers a variety of high-quality men's apparel, from super stretchy shorts like the pair that I'm wearing here, swim trunks like I was wearing in 3 short inseam lengths, to pants, polos, button-down shirts for when you need to hit up your favorite weekend spot. Embrace the spirit of endless summer with Chubbies, the ultimate destination for bold, vibrant, and outrageously comfortable clothing. Look at that dive. I wouldn't be able to dive like that into the pool if I didn't have a comfortable swimsuit. So get your new swimsuit lined up for the summer with Chubbies, and for a limited time, Chubbies is giving our listeners, our viewers, 20% off your order with our exclusive code, CHAT. Again, you plug in that link down below, chubbyshorts.com/chat, promo code CHAT, 20% off your order. We're going to put that link down below in the show notes as well as in the comment section of this video. So we talked about the offense. Let's now talk about the defensive side of the football for San Francisco here. Not as many, I would say, training camp competitions that we'll be watching or OTA competitions, but tell you what, a lot of new additions and fresh faces on this side of the ball. So the makeover of the defensive side as compared to the offensive side, a lot more drastic. The Niners starting defensive line, I think, is going to be this. Nick Bosa and Leonard Floyd as your edge rushers, with Malik Collins and Javon Hargrave as your interior defensive linemen at defensive tackle. Your depth pieces, Yetur Gross-Matos and Robert Beal on one side of the edge, and then Drake Jackson, Austin Bryant on the other side. And then the defensive tackle depth, Kevin Givens, Kalia Davis, Jordan Elliott, and T.Y. McGill. Drake Jackson coming off that knee surgery from last year, still not practicing. And then Malik Collins, not at OTAs. I don't like that look. Eric Armstead was always a player. He wore that C on his chest. He was a team leader. He would show up to organize team activities. Malik Collins is not, but he did say that he's doing that until, I believe, his kids graduate, and then he'll join the San Francisco 49ers. I get it. You got to take care of the family, but I'd at least show up and watch from the sideline if you're not going to practice, but he can do him. Credit to him for looking after his family. Leonard Floyd, I want to spend a couple of moments talking about him. He's going to have a big year opposite of Nick Bosa. And Nick Bosa has not had another member at defensive end have double-digit sacks in quite a while. Could Leonard Floyd break that lull? Here's what he had to say about signing with the Niners. This is going to get people fired up. They play grown man football. You got to wake up early and eat your breakfast early when you're the Niners, because it's going to be a physical game. So seeing that from the outside made me want to be a part of that. Seeing that get close these past few years, I wanted to come in and help us get over the hump. If Leonard Floyd plays like he's played over the last 4 years, shoot, he can help San Francisco get over the top. And if he has this sack production, it's going to do wonders for just helping Nick Bosa, who last year, a little bit of a down year after the Defensive Player of the Year campaign, and when he won DPOY, he kind of had that sack drought at the end of last year because in that final month, he was held in check. But that's because a lot of teams were double teaming him, chipping him with some tight ends and running backs. If Leonard Floyd can pin his ears back, get after the opposing quarterback, it's just going to help out Nick Bosa get more one-on-ones. And you look at those numbers the last 4 years. Last year with Buffalo, 10.5 sacks. Year before that, 9, then 9.5, and 10.5. So that's 4 consecutive years with at least 9 sacks. And I think the Niners and their fans will enjoy watching Leonard Floyd play football. He talks about him wanting to join a team that's physical, that brings that brute force in between the lines any given Sunday. And then just the bend, the speed, the athleticism, the pursuit of Leonard Floyd. He always plays with a really good motor. At the linebacker spot, Dre Greenlaw still coming off that torn Achilles. Fred Warner, best off-ball linebacker in the NFL. And then Devondre Campbell, signed by San Francisco. And he's basically going to be the holdover plan for Dre Greenlaw. I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners go with a lot of 2 linebacker sets, and then you utilize Talanoa Hufanga as kind of that hybrid linebacker. I don't hate the depth at this position, though. You have D. Winters, Ezekiel Turner, Tatum Bethune, the 7th-round pick out of Florida State, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, and then Jalen Graham. I like the young players in Graham as well as Winters. And for Campbell, he's not far removed from being a first-team All-Pro in this league, but had a sour taste for how his stint with the Green Bay Packers ended. But the good news is he's excited to play with the Niners and rock the scarlet, red, gold, and white. He tweeted this out on, Tuesday, or Monday, after the first OTA practice. I can't even lie, I'm having so much fun playing football again. The situation I was in was making me lose my love for the game, but I'm back having fun again, and I love that for myself. Thank you, God. I'm excited to see Devondre Campbell. I don't think that he's quite cooked, and I actually think that this ended up being a better situation for San Francisco. They got spurned by Eric Kendricks. I think Campbell can be the better, more impactful player. Flip the page to the cornerback position. What's going to happen here? A lot of questions. Charvarius Ward, All-Pro last year. Deommodore Lenoir could be an All-Pro this year. At least a Pro Bowler. He has given up very few explosive plays over the last couple of years. And in his first 3 years in the NFL, I talked about this last week, I think he's only given up 3 touchdowns in coverage. That's excellent. But is he going to be an outside corner? Is he going to be a slot guy? If he's the outside guy, that would tell me Renardo Green is going to be in the slot. Now, your backups, I'm intrigued by the backup situation here for San Francisco at cornerback. I think under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, when you think about Darrell Luter Jr., Rock Ya-Sin, Chase Lucas, Isaac Yiadom, Samuel Womack, Ambry Thomas, with those starters potentially on your screen, it might be the deepest Niners cornerback room that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have had. Certainly it's the deepest Niners quarterback room that San Francisco has had in quite a while. And that's a good thing to have. You always need to have like multiple slot nickel corners in nowadays NFL because teams will spread you out. And then obviously you want some outside corners too. So to have a bunch of different options there, Rock Ya-Sin, Isaac Yiadom getting off to a good start during that OTA practice on Tuesday, that's certainly a good sign. Talanoa Hufanga working on the side field during the public OTA session, at least public open up to the media on Tuesday. And that's a good sign. I think that he's coming off that torn ACL. He continues to recover. Jair Brown, he met with the media looking jacked. He looks big, looks swole. And then the backup safety is Malik Mustafa, George Odom. You're a little bit thin after that, but as far as your starters go, Talanoa Hufanga, Jair Brown with Malik Mustafa mixing in, not a bad situation here. You could bring back Deshaun Gibson. Could you make a play for a Justin Simmons and Eddie Jackson? I wouldn't rule that out. To see Talanoa Hufanga, though, doing work on the side field, not practicing for OTAs because he continues to come back from that torn ACL, I think that is a positive sign in that recovery. So you think about all of the things that we talked about on today's show. A couple of really significant changes could be in play for San Francisco at a couple of different positions. And these battles positionally, interesting stuff. It gets me jacked up for the season to get here. That is for sure. If you want to give me a follow on X, give me a follow on Instagram. You can find me there at Chase_Senior. Love to chop it up with the faithful.